They claim it is a state of emergency, a crisis so deep that the normal rules of the Church must be suspended. On July 1st, the Society of St. Pius X, SSPX, plans to consecrate new bishops without the Pope's permission. Their Superior General, Father Davide Pagliarani, insists this is not schism, but survival. The Vatican's former doctrinal chief, Cardinal Gerhard Müller, just called their bluff. In a March 19th interview with the theological journal Communio, Müller, who led the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith from 2012 to 2017, systematically dismantled the SSPX's entire defense. He stated bluntly that their planned consecrations cannot be justified. Canon law is clear. A bishop who consecrates without a papal mandate incurs automatic excommunication. This penalty, which was publicly declared during the 1988 rupture with Archbishop Marcel Lefebvre, remains in full force. The SSPX has not consecrated new bishops since that crisis. Its remaining bishops, Bernard Feli, 67, and Alfonso de Gallareta, 69, are aging. But Müller insists that biological necessity does not create theological emergency. This is not merely a canonical dispute. It cuts to the bone of Catholic identity. The SSPX argues that the missionary spirit has been kicked out of the Church. Bishop Feli has claimed that modern theology has resulted in souls who have not received the faith. The crisis, they say, is so profound that the Pope himself cannot be trusted to provide bishops who will defend tradition. Cardinal Müller's response is devastating. He writes, "No Orthodox Catholic can invoke reasons of conscience if he withdraws from the formal authority of the Pope regarding the visible unity of the sacramental Church." For Müller, the very act of declaring a state of emergency is an act of rebellion. The Church is not a democracy of the faithful. It is a hierarchical communion built upon the rock of Peter. To consecrate bishops against the Pope's will is not to save the Church. It is to tear it apart. The deepest wound in this argument is the claim that Vatican II represents a rupture. The SSPX has long insisted that the Council's teachings on religious liberty and ecumenism contradict prior dogma. Cardinal Müller rejects this hermeneutic of rupture entirely. He insists that when the Council's statements are read in the context of the Church's entire tradition, no break exists. He points out that Pope Leo XIV has expressed openness to dialogue and even allowed exceptions to the crackdown on the traditional Latin Mass. The Vatican's dicastery for the doctrine of the faith, led by Cardinal Fernandez, offered a structured theological dialogue to address the SSPX's concerns. The condition? Suspend the July 1st consecrations. The SSPX refused. This is the bitter irony. The SSPX claims it is acting to save the faith. But by rejecting the Pope's offer of dialogue, it proves that its loyalty is not to the living magisterium, but to its own interpretation of history. Cardinal Sarah, echoing Müller's sorrow, asked, "Is it to desire the salvation of souls to tear apart the mystical body of Christ in a way that may be irreversible?" Müller holds out a final, personal hope. He believes that with Pope Leo XIV, a good and just, but also dogmatically sound solution can be found. But that solution requires trust. It requires submission. For the SSPX, the state of necessity is an excuse to build a parallel church. For Müller, it is a sin against unity. The question for every Catholic is simple. When the Pope calls, do you answer? Or do you consecrate your own bishops and walk away?